我发现了中国男人
I've noticed that Chinese men don't have high standards when it comes to Russian girls. Some men even say that as long as she's a woman, that's enough. Some go even further and say that as long as she's a living woman, that's fine. So the question is, if you had a girlfriend like me, what time would you come home every day?
您愿意娶俄罗斯美女当老婆吗？
I would like to ask everyone a question. Would you consider marrying a Russian beauty as your wife? Recently, many of my friends have asked me why Russian women are so popular, especially among single Chinese men. What makes Russian women so special? Some people believe that Russian women have tall figures and elegant temperaments, while others say that Russian women have good genes and can produce high-quality babies. However, from our perspective, these are not the fundamental reasons. After all, beautiful women can be found in any country, and there is no authoritative scientific research to suggest that mixed-race children are necessarily superior or more beautiful. So, what exactly makes Russian women so popular among Chinese men? Without exaggeration or criticism, let's delve into this and explore two key reasons behind the increasing number of China-Russia cross-national marriages in recent years: the Russian education system and the way the country guides women. First, let's look at how Russian women are educated. Russia is a country that deeply values combat and national spirit, with a strong sense of nationalism and confidence. Russia not only focuses on cultivating male strength, but also places a great emphasis on the education of women. Many of my Russian female classmates have told me that, in addition to their studies, they were taught from a young age to love their country, respect their nation, and to be gentle at home but cold and unyielding towards the outside world. This educational philosophy has led Russian women to develop a strong sense of responsibility for their families, while also displaying great decisiveness and courage when facing difficulties and challenges. This is similar to how, during World War II, thousands of Soviet women fought on the front lines, armed with weapons, to protect their homeland and engage in life-or-death battles with the enemy. In addition to the national educational policies, the school and family education systems in Russia have played a crucial role. Russian women's self-confidence and sense of responsibility are largely the result of their education from a young age. The Russian school system places a strong emphasis on fostering a sense of responsibility and national pride in children. Many young children are taken to visit memorials of the Great Patriotic War or war hero cemeteries to learn about the nation's history and heroes. Meanwhile, schools encourage girls to choose courses that they enjoy, such as artistic gymnastics, ballet, playing musical instruments, and even competitive sports. Schools also teach girls the importance of maintaining a sense of shame and dignity, and they are instructed not to engage in activities that could harm their personal or national image. They are encouraged to uphold their cultural heritage. But this is not all. Russian family education also plays a key role. Many Russian women have told me that their parents taught them from a young age not to rely on men, and to learn to be independent and strong. If a woman cannot help her husband succeed in his career, raise outstanding children, cook, and manage the household, then she is considered to have failed. From kindergarten, Russian girls are encouraged to be independent, clean their own rooms, and by elementary school, they are taught how to manage a household, cook, bake, and even learn sewing, tailoring, and fashion design. By the time they reach high school, many Russian girls are already capable of fulfilling the responsibilities of a good wife and mother, possessing strong family management skills. Another point is that Russian women do not demand dowries, which is an important reason why many Chinese single men are attracted to them. In recent years, the number of China-Russia cross-national marriages has gradually increased, with many Chinese men who have faced setbacks in domestic relationships choosing to marry Russian women. One important factor is that Russian women have a more practical approach to marriage. They do not demand high dowries, excessive economic conditions, or control over the family's finances after marriage. This contrasts sharply with some Chinese women, who raise their expectations once marriage becomes a reality. They demand tens of thousands of yuan in dowries, housing, cars, and even seek control over household finances after marriage. Many Chinese men find this exhausting and, as a result, turn to Russian women in search of genuine happiness. Some Chinese women, despite having average looks or family backgrounds, demand that men be wealthy, handsome, and come from strong backgrounds. They believe that high-status men must be blind if they do not meet these standards. They shamelessly set conditions, while completely ignoring their own flaws. Such unrealistic demands confuse many men and lead many quality Chinese single men to turn away, seeking comfort in the arms of Russian women. Ultimately, the influence of women on a nation and culture is profound. When women are strong, the nation becomes strong. As the old saying goes, a virtuous wife brings prosperity to 3 generations. This holds true. Every woman hopes to find the right partner, and so do men. While most Chinese women are very admirable, we suggest that those who are curious about the outside world can learn from the strengths of Russian women. By continuously improving their own qualities and becoming more independent, they may find a more suitable partner and avoid being trapped in unrealistic expectations.
在俄罗斯啊，有一个很奇怪的现象。
In Russia, there is a very unique phenomenon. Russian women are often very passionate and open, and this attitude can sometimes be surprising or difficult for Chinese men to adapt to. This is largely due to the fact that Russia has a much larger female population than male, with the male-to-female ratio being about 1 man to 4 women. In recent years, Russia's divorce rate has also been very high, reaching around 60%. There are many reasons behind this phenomenon, usually because men lack responsibility in marriage or have extramarital affairs. When the wife discovers these infidelities, the marriage often ends in divorce. After divorce, Russian women, although hoping to find a suitable partner, face great difficulty. Due to the relative scarcity of men, it is much easier for men to find women in Russia, as the male population is far smaller than the female population, and the 1-to-4 ratio gives men much more freedom of choice. Additionally, Russian beauties generally have a good impression of Chinese men, especially Chinese men in particular. They tend to view Chinese men as very hard-working and diligent, which is in stark contrast to some Russian men's laziness. In recent years, an increasing number of Chinese tourists have visited Russia, particularly those involved in business activities. Their hard work and earnest attitude have been transmitted to Russians, further enhancing the positive image of Chinese men in Russia. Although Russian women have a favorable impression of Chinese men, some Russian girls are often unwilling to move to China due to unfamiliarity with the lifestyle, environment, and cultural background there. They are reluctant to leave the life they are familiar with. However, if a Chinese man comes to Russia and stays for a while, he will typically be able to find an ideal partner in this land. The key is that he needs to be diligent, integrate into the local life, and learn some basic Russian or use translation software to help communicate. With these efforts, finding a Russian woman as a wife is not difficult. Many Chinese men have already established happy families here.
Today, I'll talk about the pros and cons of marrying a Russian wife. First, it must be pointed out that there are significant cultural differences between China and Russia, which can lead to various inconveniences in daily life. Russians tend to be stubborn and sometimes get fixated on small details, which may cause confusion for Chinese people interacting with them. Additionally, most Russian girls do not have the habit of saving money and lack the awareness to save. On top of that, some Russian women smoke and drink, which is another issue caused by cultural differences. The third issue is the difference in dietary habits between Russia and China. Many people find it difficult to get used to Russian food. Especially if you marry a Russian wife, the responsibility of cooking will likely fall on you. The fourth point is about body odor. In the past, Russians consumed a lot of beef, lamb, and dairy products, which sometimes caused them to have a certain body odor. However, with economic improvements, the Russian market now offers many out-of-season vegetables and fruits, so this issue is less common today. Although there are many discussions online about Russians having body odor, the reality is not as bad as it is often portrayed. I have had close contact with many Russians, and the situation was not as bad as imagined. Additionally, Some claim that Russian women gain weight after giving birth, but this is not entirely accurate. In fact, everyone's body type is different. For instance, after giving birth, my wife didn't gain weight at all. The key is how one manages their body. If a woman maintains a healthy lifestyle, she can stay slim even after childbirth. The most important point is that many Russian women do not fully understand the concept of gratitude. This is something you must be aware of. Do not try to maintain a relationship by emotionally manipulating a Russian woman. Mutual attraction is the key. If you become overly fixated on moving her emotionally, you may end up getting hurt, so it's important to be rational and avoid being deceived. Don't wait until things go wrong and then regret it. Now, let's talk about the advantages of marrying a Russian wife. First, Russian women are very clean and hardworking when it comes to housework. They don't just focus on looking beautiful after returning home like some Chinese girls, who may do less cooking and housework. My wife constantly reminds me to change clothes, even socks, and many of my pants and socks get ruined because of her washing them. Second, Russian women generally have fair skin, beautiful looks, and tall, slender figures. Their appearance is outstanding. Third, Russian women are highly disciplined. Unlike some Chinese women who may become overly dependent on their husbands after marriage, Russian women are more independent. They manage their lives on their own and do not excessively rely on their spouse. Fourth, the relationship between my mother-in-law and me is generally harmonious, as the language barrier reduces unnecessary communication conflicts. Fifth, Russian women do not have the same traditional views as Chinese women, such as the expectation to support elderly parents or shoulder heavy family responsibilities. They place more emphasis on personal freedom and independence, and their family relationships are not as tightly knit as those in China. The sixth advantage is that marrying a Russian woman could result in having a smart and beautiful mixed-race child, who will inherit the best qualities from both parents. The seventh advantage is that, by marrying a Russian wife, you will become the most handsome man in the entire village, and your relatives and friends will look at you with admiration. The eighth advantage is that if you are involved in foreign trade or business activities, having a Russian wife as a partner can be a great help in socializing and negotiating contracts, as Russian women often have strong social skills that can help their husbands better integrate into the local business environment. The final advantage is that Russian marriages do not require a house or a car. As long as both parties genuinely like each other, you can simply rent a house and get married. For example, when my wife and I got married, we didn't have a grand wedding, nor did we take wedding photos. We just bought a pair of rings and had a simple ceremony. This is much easier than marrying a Chinese woman.
花了15万娶的媳妇跑了，过了3个月。
There's a big brother in our county who spent 150,000 yuan to marry a Burmese wife. Unfortunately, after just 3 months, this wife left him. It really breaks my heart, especially seeing him spend so much money, yet get nothing in return, and instead, suffer a huge loss. To all the single men out there, I sincerely advise you to be cautious. Never easily trust an agency's introduction, especially when you don't know the person well. If you can find a foreign girl through someone you know personally, or someone who understands her background, that might be more acceptable. But if you go through an agency and spend so much money, only for the wife to leave after 3 months, with no children even, it's heartbreaking. This is a real incident that happened in our county, and after hearing about it, I really feel bad for him and worry for him. It's really not easy to make money these days. Everyone should guard their pockets well. Money is earned through hard work, not by easy means. Sometimes, when you put in a lot of effort, you get nothing in return and end up losing everything. That feeling is truly awful. Especially when some single men think about solving their problems by marrying a Burmese wife, but the situation in Myanmar is very unstable, with constant warfare. Many Burmese girls will sweet-talk you saying, "Dear Chinese brother, I really want to marry a Chinese. Can you help me get a passport and bring me to China? The war here is terrifying, life is unstable, I just want to find a peaceful life in China." This kind of situation can make many men hesitate. So I still want to remind everyone to be extra careful when dealing with these things. I think it's better to look for a Chinese woman. After all, women like me are really rare. Although I'm not wealthy and I don't care about money, I just hope that my partner treats me well. For me, the most important thing is that the family can be well fed, well clothed, and live a stable life, without worrying about daily necessities. Not being desperate for a living, maintaining a healthy mindset, and living a peaceful life are enough for me. Finally, to all the men who want to find a foreign wife, I suggest you take a good look at Chinese women first. After all, Chinese women are the most suitable for you.
Today, let's talk about a phenomenon. Why are more and more Chinese men choosing to marry Russian women? In recent years, with the rise of extreme feminist views, many Chinese men feel that the cost of marrying a Chinese woman has become increasingly high. In today's marriage life, basic expenses such as the betrothal gifts, buying a car, and buying a house seem like just the beginning. What is most troublesome, however, is that after marrying a wife, you may not only need to provide her with everything materially, but sometimes you also have to be very low-key, constantly walking on eggshells. To avoid arguments, many men find themselves unable to even breathe freely. After marriage, not only can they not ask their wives to have children, but they also cannot expect them to take on household chores, such as washing clothes and cooking. Even your parents must treat her with respect. In short, the entire family's task is to serve her. In this situation, many Chinese men find that if they marry a Russian woman, they can seemingly escape this pressure. With the progress of globalization, many Russian girls have started learning Chinese and living in China, which gives Chinese men more options. Moreover, compared to marrying a Chinese woman, marrying a Russian woman is relatively less expensive. Russian women do not require a car and house when they get married. They can accept renting a house, and even daily meals can be on an AA, split cost basis. Doesn't that sound attractive? It's so comfortable that it almost makes me feel like I might want to do it. In some cases, even the Russian woman's family, after meeting you and feeling that you are excellent, may give you a car or even a house. In contrast, many Chinese men naturally lean towards marrying a Russian woman, believing that not only is the financial burden lighter, but the attitude toward life is also more peaceful and open. To sum it up, it's not that Chinese girls are unaffordable, but Russian girls offer more value for money. So, if it were you, would you be more inclined to marry a Russian girl? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss this topic together. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to bring you better programs. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.